Welcome to the KUSI News at 5. I'm Alan Denton.
And I'm Sandra Moss. Thank you for joining us.
The cost of a taxi cab medallion, or permit in this case in San Diego, is $3,000. The city has capped the number of medallions or permits at just over 900 for about 30 years.
Over time, those with permits began leasing them to others, to where today a medallion will cost you upwards of $100,000. To address that, Councilmember Marty Emerald wants the city to eliminate the cap. Steve Bosch is here now with details.
Sandra Allen, by flooding the market with more taxi permits, Emerald and City Attorney Jan Goldsmith believe more cabs will create competition, drive down the cost of leasing out these medallions, and free up more money for drivers. Councilmember Emerald says there are too many taxi drivers who are working long hours and in some cases making less than minimum wage.
Because it's a limited supply, there's been this market of trading under the table, and the prices of permits have gone up. For many drivers, probably 90% of the drivers in this city, driving a cab is no longer a way to make a living because their overhead is so high.
By flooding the market with medallions, more drivers will get permits, and the cost of leasing a medallion should also drop. But either way, the price to the consumer remains the same. Both the drop fare and the price per mile. These are set by MTS. Another benefit is safety. Permits come with conditions.
Here you have a driver who has been screened, a vehicle that has passed inspection, and you have other regulations.
We got varying opinions from cab drivers on lifting the cap. Some say it's a good idea, others not so.
If there is no command for the taxi and you increase it, you know the result. Nobody will get that business and everybody will stuck.
The more we have taxi driver, the more we have visitors, the more the city enjoy free movement.
Governments regulate just about everything. Why not those leases, where a medallion owner leases his permit for upwards of $100,000? Councilmember Emerald says that's a private relationship between the two. What was not mentioned was the competition with the emerging ride-sharing groups like Uber and Lyft that operate under less restrictive rules without a city permit. But California and other states are beginning to crack down.
They're entirely trying to put us out of business because these bills are sponsored by, one, the cab companies, and two, the insurance companies.
Congressional candidate Carl DeMaio says if elected, he will author legislation to protect these ride-sharing groups because they offer consumers a choice without the hassle of trying to get a cab.
This is fundamentally an issue of personal freedom, specifically the right of consumers to choose their ride rather than having special interests force government to choose a ride for them.
And as you know, cabs are expensive in San Diego. The United Taxi Workers Organization says we have the second highest cab prices in the U.S. behind Honolulu.
I believe that. Just try getting a taxi to the airport and you get hit pretty good. Steve, what's the next step in all this? Where do we go from here?
Well, we go through the process. Then that would be the Council's Public Safety and Neighborhood Services Committee, and if it passes muster there, it goes on to the full council. And if they approve it, then it goes to the MTS board, which I mentioned. They're the agency that regulates the taxi industry for the city.
You mentioned Uber and Lyft. Aren't these ride-sharing groups kind of driving this right now?
Yeah, I would think so. You ever tried to get a cab by a phone? You know, sometimes it's frustrating.
Right.
You sit and wait, wondering where the cab is. You're going to get there on time, and then is he going to take a credit card or not? Whereas with Uber, you can track the cab on your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know exactly where he is. You can walk out the door as he's pulling in the driveway.
You can watch him.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Watch
you
it
can
all
watch him
unfold.
as he's approaching. And there's no exchange of money.
Right.
And the tip is on the bill.
Right.
So,
It's very convenient.
yeah.
Makes it much easier. But it's still tough for the cabbies who are just making, as you said in the story, minimum wage? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, it's part of technology taking over things.
Changing world.
It's pressure.
And capitalism, too, right?
Yes.
All right.